Hello everyone, and welcome back to Banjo-Kazooie on the Nintendo 64. I'm One Wild Sheep yet again, and today, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be taking on the end game of the game, and this is a fantastic time. Now, you might remember beforehand, I picked up a bunch of Cheeto cheats throughout the course of the game. Well, now it's time for me to cash these in, which is why you're seeing the sped up footage right now of me going, I gotta find all the letters and hit the letters on the sandcastle. Yeah. And basically typing in all these codes aren't really necessary, but they do help out in the long run. You know, ladies and gentlemen, they'll help me out in the final battle. It is really recommended for you to go out of your way to enter these codes. And in the Xbox version, these codes don't actually disable your achievements, because the Xbox version of the game agrees with my philosophy that these codes are not actually cheats as much as they are upgrades. So just be sure to utilize them when you get the chance. But anyway, you might remember last time when we left off, we were in this room. So now, ladies and gentlemen, as soon as we step on this pan, it is the beginning of the end. And one of the new things, well, not new things, one of the things about this game is we're about to do a quiz show. Now, these quiz shows are one of the biggest aspects of Banjo-Kazooie as an entire series. Every Banjo game, I believe, has a quiz show. I can't remember if Nuts and Bolts has a quiz show at the end of it, but we don't talk about that game anyway. However, we do need to get past all of this room in order to gain access to Tootie and save her from Grunty, because for some reason Grunty decided she's now a prize. I don't know. But yeah, basically what you need to do is first things first, walk back and activate this cauldron. It'll give us a quick and easy teleport to the end game after we've done this little quiz, you know, folks, so it's handy to get that while we're here. And basically what you need to do is push the A button on each of these tiles, and Grunty will either ask you a question about herself, the game, or she'll give you a challenge to pull off. You know, it's literally a quiz show, as you can guess. Grunty's furnace fun. And every time you fail a quiz mission minigame, you know, every time you fail a question, there we go. That took a bit longer to say than I thought it would. You will lose a bit of health. But fortunately, there are health pickups throughout this board. But you're going to want to avoid them for the most part, at least until you get low on health. What I like to do is get as far away through this board as physically possible while keeping as high health as possible. And once I reach a point where I'm losing most of my health, then I like to backtrack and pick up all the honeycomb pieces that are just scattered throughout the board behind me. Trust me, that's probably the best way to go about dealing with this quiz shenanigans, this quiz fun, you know, ladies and gentlemen. I love how she just speaks to you in rhyme though for all these, like, questions and stuff. Like, you have to listen to these characters' voices as well. For example, this here is Mumbo. It's obvious this is Mumbo. I mean, it's Grant Kirkhope himself. But a lot of these quizzes will range in difficulty between very easy to answer the questions to ridiculously difficult. Anyway, that Joker tile, when you jump on it, if you complete a question on the Joker tile, you will end up getting these Joker cards. With a Joker card, you're able to push the B button on each of these tiles, in order to skip the tile and move on to the next. Which I do recommend using on the skull tiles, because if you fail a skull question, you will instantly die, and you have to redo this entire sequence again. Now, depending on what tiles you land on, you'll get a different question. For example, if you land on a tile that's basically an eyeball, you'll have to do a minigame where you have to look at the environment and then tell her, oh, okay, this is Mad Monster Mansion. This one texture belongs to Bubble Gloop Swamp. La-di-da-di-da. So, like by here, it's saying that it's talking about 1881. Now, you can't actually see what she's on about with that one because I had access to the Stop and Swap egg, which is kind of strange actually, because 1881 is one of the years that one of Ultimate's games came out, and Ultimate was, they were the company that eventually turned into Rareware. And basically there's one place in Bubblegloop Swamp that says 1881 on it. Basically it's like this barrel. And as you saw, that was open when we were playing Bubblegloop Swamp, because that's where we collect. Well, that's where we would have collected an egg if I already hadn't before the LP started. But I digress. Anyway, every time you get to a puzzle that has a ticky clock, that will be a special challenge thing you need to pull off. Like there, I needed to do the Zubbers challenge yet again in order to get past within a stricter time limit. And the grunty ones, well, needless to say, you just need to know stuff about Gruntilda the witch herself. So, yeah, whenever you come across a grunty tile, that's the reason why we need to know all those random facts from Gruntilda throughout the course of the game, because it'll help us to not die in this one minigame, you know? How Gruntilda knew that Grunty was going to be doing a quiz show at the end is beyond me. She probably didn't know. She probably just sat there like, oh, my sister, I hate her so much, I'm gonna give you random facts. And those random facts just happen to be useful, I guess. But yeah, like I say, yeah, it's just gonna be giving you trivia and questions about the entire game, like that thing. But there is Trunka. So we go down. There we go. Now, I'm not perfect in this because I don't know everything about this game, but I'm usually pretty good at getting all these, all this Grunty's Furnace fun done and dusted. Now, sometimes the game will throw a curveball though, however, and you will get a question like, what was Banjo's first game? Now, for the untrained brain, most people will turn around and go, oh, well, this is his first game, Banjo-Kazooie. No, that would be wrong, because... Wow, I'm getting a few of these wrong. Because Banjo-Kazooie's first game was actually Diddy Kong Racing, and there's a bunch of things like that that may throw you off, For the most part, she gives you obvious questions and whatnot, but, What a pile of treasure! Oh. Although there is more than enough room for failure in this minigame, I should say, folks, because obviously it is a selection minigame, isn't it? It's choice based. So eventually you're going to win this anyway. It's just a matter of trial and error. However, if you do leave this room to like refill health or something and then come back, I must warn you, you will lose, like, everything. As in, all your progress on the board will be lost. So you will have to redo all this again if you leave this room and then come back. Which is more frustrating than anything, because sometimes you'll just want to sit down and be like, I want to get this done in one go. But then you forget that one critical thing that's stopping you, but... all these questions are randomized, ladies and gentlemen, so you can't actually cheat the system, which, in a way, I'm happy at, because it keeps you on your toes. But in another way, it makes me sad, because it means I can't really cheese this in any way. And I love to cheese these sort of deals, because they're sort of bleh. Like by here, for example, the tiles, you remember the tile matching minigame from back in Gobi's Valley? Well, now we got to do the exact same thing. The difference is, we got a slightly shorter time limit. But don't worry, folks, the time limit is still way more than manageable, It's very easy to manage all this stuff. Like, I can't really see you having too much of an issue as long as you got a relatively decent memory. And I have an awful memory, folks, I've always had very, very bad memories in terms of... I forget things almost instantaneously, But a lot of people may... Actually, I can't remember how good my card matching in Mario 3 was. Well, if my card matching was any indication in Mario 3, then... if I'm right about how bad I was when I was doing the LP, I'm not good at remembering stuff like this. But I still find it easy enough to do. It's more trial and error than anything else, and that's all I got to say about that. I still have 10-15 seconds to spare, even though the time is a lot shorter than it was before, you know, ladies and gentlemen. Just so don't worry. Just stay calm. If you worry, you're going to die. Anyway, I do like to look ahead later on in the board as well, see what's coming on up, because there is a bit of a strategy aspect to this board game as well, because obviously we need to save our Joker cards for certain parts, so we need to think about where would be a good idea to get Joker cards, where would be a good idea to use our Joker cards, etc, etc, and you need to plan yourself. You basically need to plan the quickest route while making it as easy as possible for you, you know? Or you could be a fool and do the entire lot of these, but let's be honest, I really don't recommend doing a lot of these minigames.
What on earth's my favorite smell?
Well, that would be putrid parrot puke. I don't know how I remember that to this point, because this was recorded like 3 months ago.
How dare you look at that? What color undies do I wear?
You're spotty purple, but no, you div. Well, in my defense, streaky brown is normally the color that it is. Normally. It's very rare for it to not be streaky brown. Ew. Ew. That's disgusting. Let's move on to the next one.
You pick up items on the ground. Which one makes this silly sound?
Well, that would be a feather. A golden one at that. Or was that red? Okay, it was red. Okay, I had a bit of a brain fart. But yeah, like, I always like to save 3 Joker cards for the last 3 tiles, because the tiles on the actual board are not randomized in any way, you know, folks. Every single time you play through this board game, all the tiles will be basically the same. Which helps you to not be bored. Let's just say that much, huh? Not be bored. Get it? Anyway, if you guys remember the Mr. Vile minigame, I still consider it the hardest minigame in the game, just because it's always close. Like, every time you play this minigame, you're always right next to Mr. Vile. But now we have a 4th round with it, and yay! The problem with this 4th round is it is actually extremely difficult in comparison to the first 3 rounds, because not only is Mr. Vile faster, the icon on the top of the screen moves by faster, and I don't know, it's just more awkward to get the number of these things that you need to, you know? But one thing I do kind of like is, even though it's harder and faster, because the game is a bit of rubber band AI programmed in, if you start off pretty bad, what I find is Mr. Vile here does sort of slow down with his eating and gives you a chance to catch up, which means if you start off poorly, you're more likely to win than if you start off good. Which is kind of strange, but meh. Well, of course, that would be ghosts. A ghost! I should just insert that clip from Friends. Like, if any of you guys ever watched the TV show Friends, and if you haven't, watch it. Trust me, it's like the best sitcom ever made. I used to watch it back in the 90s when it was like brand new. Basically, it was just this one moment when one of the characters, Joey, was on his game show, and he couldn't get anything right, so what's milk and placed in the fridge? No, what's milk? What's white and in a fridge? And he turns around, a ghost! It just had me in stitches. I don't know. It's amazing. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, we are now done with the initial battle. Now, we can now pick up prize. So we can either go with the washing machine, the grunty plushie, which I'm surprised they don't actually sell, or Tootie herself. So that's gonna be fantably-tastic. However, we do need to drag through the credits now, ladies and gentlemen, so with that, I will catch you all next time in part 14, the final part where we can take on Banjo himself. Not Banjo, Grunty herself. Because, unfortunately, I can't skip these credits, and I wanted to edit these out to the final part, but due to the way they work, it's very awkward to edit them out smoothly. You know, so I just sort of decided to leave them in this part, and I'll move into the next part to deal with it. Because, yes, there is one last part, ladies and gentlemen. The game is not complete, even though this cast roll is going. But I digress. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I will catch you all next time for the final battle against Gruntilda the Witch. So thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed. Don't be sheepish, people. I'll see you all then. Bye!
Ooh.